b takes to c. In fact, queen takes to c3 and then knight takes to f6. We find that black is receiving better chances since the bishop on g7 is, going to be quite alive towards this diagonal. You can also proceed with c5, and if d4 is gone, that bishop will get open straight. So we can very easily notice that after e5 and then b4, then white is having problems. The first problem that he did actually underestimate. So after b4, white decided not to take on f6 and help black to open up the file and lose the central pawn, but he decided to play knight e4. After which, of course, black decided to capture with knight takes e4, f takes e4, and the whole pawn structure that white already built with his whole formation and everything is right now gone. It's simply not there anymore. After f takes 3, white's e5 pawn is hanging. The other pawn on e4 is also kind of a little bit vulnerable, more vulnerable around the center, and it was not good for white. So what did black do in this position? Oh, that he can do quite a few things, but what he decided was to play the move of bishop b7, and after e takes to d6, c takes to d6, what did white achieve with this plan? e5, e4 to e5 to e takes to d to help black open up the file after the recapture of c takes to d. Now he'll be really happy to utilize this file and immediately create threats against white's king. What did white achieve with knight e4? It helped black to exchange and make another pawn weakness in front of white, more like a weak spot on which black is attacking. So further on in the game, after bishop to b7, e takes to d, c takes to d, white played bishop g2, and then black simply played a5. Black has already advanced too much. With these impulsive moves with which white started proceeding on the central area of the board, it only left black open to get certain type of threats. And let's take a look. After coming up like this, after a5, h4, queen c7, and bishop to h6, I think that white is making another impulsive mistake. Why bishop to h6? There is a general principle that we can follow in order to avoid any kinds of impulsive moves that will either unrelate our plan or maybe weaken our position. Every move that you should play should follow two ideas. First, it should be following your plan, or second, it should eventually be related to, let's say, prevention of some of your opponent's main threats or ideas. Now, black pushed his long queen right in front of white's king. It seems that white has already lost some time, some decent time, and if he starts playing moves that relate to his plan, it will simply look slower, so black will have easier way to get rook c8 and rook b8. So no, in this position, all that white needed to do, he was forced to do that, was to put his king back to b1. After that king defending type of move, maybe black's attack would have been strong, but not as much as in the game. So white did not think about prophylacting. He thought about how can I exchange the opponent's bishop so that I can advance in this area and I can give checks. And in result, black found an extraordinary move with which he punished white for his wrong strategy in the king's flank. So right now, there is an amazing decision by black. You can pause the lecture right now and think about 5 to 10 seconds, or even more if you need. What is the best idea for black to proceed once white played bishop to h6? Well, black actually decided to relate his plan. What does he want to do? Well, open files. Would he open files with bishop takes h6 or knight f6 or something? No, he wouldn't. These moves are not necessary, they're not going to help his position, and they're not going to relate his plan. So, we don't want that. We don't want to distract our attention from our main goal. So black played b3. Our main goal is actually to open files. And as soon as b3 happens, we can see that white cannot capture in between with bishop takes g7 because of b takes a2, beautiful, which comes with the threat of a1 queen, and white seems to lose directly. And on the other hand, of course, similar moves are simply not allowed. I'm not sure. Probably a move like king b1 will also not seem to work because of now there is bishop takes to h6, queen takes to h6, and then queen takes to c2, and then white's going to get mated. a3 wouldn't also work because of bishop takes h6. A beautiful move opening up the white king. And now we see how the player who follows his plan in his actual ideas is always becoming more successful. Now we see how it is, what is the difference between the planning and improving moves, and what is the difference between the impulsive moves with which we don't follow anything and we only weaken our position even more. So that's pretty much what happened in this game. And so in result of the move of b3, white decided to capture back with 8x to b3. Black played a4 coming. Of course, white cannot play b4 just because black is going to open up immediately with a3. Takes, rook takes a3, and now his rooks are coming through the a file. So he's going to get many threats through that. So the only way for white to proceed here is to go on with king to b1. Just to try to cover these invasion squares on a2 or a1, and as soon as that move actually happened, then black decided to play 8x to b, c6 to b, and bishop takes to h6, queen takes h6. Now, where did white's plan go? Well, you know, pretty much to nowhere. So right here, most of the white pieces are put in the back rank, and I don't find exactly how can white even find the time to open up files. We don't talk about threats. So basically, in this position, I don't think that there is anything that white can do at all. He already postponed and delayed his own plan. So right now in Bulgaria we have one expression which goes, okay, when somebody asks where did you go, where did you lead your play, and we say to the wicked peer. So I don't know if that expression can be used in English, but in any way this means to nowhere. So basically, right now we can find that in fact white's play is going nowhere. So just with one queen doesn't make the attack. And after coming up with queen takes h6, as white decided to play, black found a beautiful move. Win in 3 moves. It's your turn again. Pause the lecture and think. Very good training position. Well, you got it? I think we have to figure out exactly where we can attack the white king from. So right now, there was rook to a1 with a check. This beautiful move forces a checkmate in case white decides to capture out there. There is queen c2 coming, and of course, as soon as this move happens, we can easily find that since all the squares for the white king are cut, the black rook is very successfully coming through the a8, and in my opinion, white's losing directly. So, how did it go really so bad? I mean, in this position, it seemed so natural for white to improve his plan with bishop h6, and why did it happen so fast? Now, here comes the essential type of idea. Anytime when you're thinking about promoting your strategy in a more successful way, my recommendation is decide which area you will be attacking on. In chess, I would like to put the areas, not as in the books the people say, flanks. Flanks is a little bit confusing. In books they say there's king's flank on h to e, and a to d is the queen's flank. That's okay, but it's kind of confusing, because where is the center then? The center turns out to be either on the king's side or queen's side. So I like to say that, more or less, it's important to evaluate it like that. First, here is the king's side area, h to f. Then basically there is the queen's flank area, a to c. And finally there is the central area, which we call e and d. Our job is really to decide, most of all, on which one of these 3 areas would have more potential, where we would like to start attacking the opponent because of a weakness that he has or something similar. After we do that, after we decide, sometimes because of our opening knowledge or just because we find where it's going to be best for us to start playing, all we have to do is to pause for a second with our calculations. And as in fact one of the famous chess trainers said, you've got to find the ideas of the position and then search for the variations. So basically, that's what you have to do. You have to find the ideas. So all that I would advise you to do is like pause for a second and you say, okay, I've already outlined where my plan is going to go. Now, from that point, what are going to be the best move candidates for me? What are going to be the helpful moves which I can follow in order to actually supply my plan? So you literally need to figure out 5 to 6 moves with which you can eventually supply your plan without thinking about what your opponent will do. You know, we're not calculating. If you think about what your opponent will do against this, you're going to start calculating, and that's going to drop you to completely different territory. So you really want to see first the ideas of your position. Now, if I was white here before e5, I would have said, okay, my plan is on the king's side. Would e5 relate my plan? No, it wouldn't. So The only ideas that will relate to my plan would be h4, it would be bishop d3, it would be knight g to e2, it would be h5, it would be bishop h6. So, as soon as I decide which are going to be my moves to promote on the king's flank, these 5 moves right now, I would like to order them. That's what you have to do. You've got to figure out the 5 to 6 moves that will relate to your plan and then order them in the exact appropriate order. So you say, what would I like to start first with? Well, I can do bishop d3, but that's not so necessary, is it? So that's not going to help my plan. No. It's probably a nice developing move, but maybe I can leave it for a little bit later. Right now, I would like to go faster because my opponent is going to do the same. So I would want to put first place for h4. That's the most important move to my plan. Second is going to be h5. Third is going to be bishop h6. And just then, when you manage to get your threats working and the opponent starts defending, you can use bishop d3, knight e2. So in this case, having your moves prepared and knowing which is the most important will follow your plan, you avoid any kind of impulsive decisions, and in the same time, you'll be quite capable to avoid any distraction and go on with your plan in the fastest way possible. So it's just one of the most important methods how we can avoid these so-called impulsive decisions that so often draw us in the wrong plan or ideas in similar positions. And if we just try to follow my method, which I just gave you, you will see how most of these moves, you'll simply avoid that, and you will be quite capable to succeed with your plans. So this is what I'd like to share with you about planning and the impulsive moves. That's the first part of my series on the typical mistakes, and of course I'm looking forward to create more lectures on that and teach you how to avoid those so common mistakes in your games. Thank you.